10명 중 6명 정도가 앞으로 제사를 지낼 계획이 없다는 조사 결과가 나왔습니다. 성균관 의례정립위원회가 성인 남녀 1,500명을 대상으로 설문조사한 결과입니다. 제사를 지내지 않으려는 이유로는 간소화하거나 가족 모임 형태로 대체하는 것이 좋다는 응답이 가장 많았습니다. 시대 변화로 더는 제사가 필요하지 않다는 답변이 그 뒤를 이었습니다. 성균관은 이 같은 조사 결과 등을 토대로 현대화 제사 권고안을 발표할 예정인데요. 음식 가짓수를 더 간소화해서 고인이 생전 좋아하던 음식을 올릴 수 있도록 안내하는 방안이 담길 전망입니다.
Have you ever seen these news? Perhaps these news isn't so jarring. Today, I'll explore how our country's ancestral rites have evolved to this point. Jesa or ancestral rites have been one of the most important traditions in Korean families for centuries. But as our society changes, so does the way we remember our ancestors. I'd like to explore how this tradition began, how it evolved through its history, and what it means to Koreans today. Let's start with a simple question. Do Korean families still hold Jesa today? I think it would be good for each of us to think about what our own homes are like. Jesa began in ancient agricultural societies when people believed their ancestors protected the family and brought good harvests. During the Joseon Dynasty, Confucianism turned Jesa into a moral duty that represented filial piety and family unity. So in the beginning, Jesa was both a way to thank ancestors and practice that strengthens people's family bonds across generations. These paintings show how traditional Koreans prepared spaces for ancestral spirits. The symmetrical layout, decorations, and ritual objects reflect how Jesa was performed with formality and sincerity. They visually show the Confucian belief that honoring ancestors required careful preparation and respect. This is a traditional Jesa table. Every item had a specific meaning and a fixed position. Rice, soup, meat, fish, fruits, and snacks all follow strict rules. The detailed arrangement shows how much effort families put into honoring their ancestors and how symbolic each dish was. Traditionally, Jesa was a very formal ceremony held at home. The eldest son or male head of the family led the rite, while women prepared all the food but didn't take part in the ceremony itself. As I said before, rite pictures the ritual table, called Jesasan, had a strict order. Soup, meat, fish, vegetables, and fruit were arranged carefully according to Confucian rules. Every movement and item had symbolic meaning. It showed respect, hierarchy, and harmony. This traditional Jesa represented a patriarchal society, where men led the rituals and women served behind the scenes. However, things started to change rapidly in the 1960s and 70s. During Korean's industrialization and urbanization, people moved from countryside to big cities. Families became smaller, from large extended families to nuclear families living in apartments. With less time, space, and money, it became harder to hold big traditional Jesa ceremonies. As a result, many families began to simplify or even skip the rituals. The focus slowly shifted from maintaining strict customs to simply remembering ancestors in more practical ways. Another interesting change that appeared after industrialization is the commercialization of Jesa. In the past, all ritual food was prepared at home, usually by family members. But as modern families became busier and smaller, it became increasingly difficult to cook every dish from scratch. Because of this, department stores and traditional markets began offering ready-made Jessa food sets, and eventually new services appeared, including Jessa catering and even full ritual preparation services where professionals set up all entire table for the family. Today, many people simply order what they need instead of preparing everything themselves. In other words, Tesla has gradually moved into the service industry. This shift isn't just about convenience. It reflects how in the society Where time has become a valuable resource, families look for practical ways to preserve tradition while adapting to modern life. In modern Korean society, Jesa has changed even more. Younger generations focus on the meaning of remembrance rather than the form of ritual. The rise of gender equality also changed family roles. Many families now share preparation work instead of expecting women to do everything. People say sincerity over ceremony, meaning that true respect comes from the heart, not from how fancy the table looks. Today, some families just gather for a simple meal, or they hold a short moment of silence instead of long ritual. The essence remains remembering and thanking their ancestors, but in a way that fits modern life. Religion and globalization have also played a big role in changing Jesa. With the spread of Christianity in Korea, many families stopped holding Jesa since ancestor worship conflicts with Christian beliefs. Meanwhile, Buddhism and modern secular lifestyles influenced others to reinterpret the ritual as a peaceful remembrance, not worship. Western influence introduced new customs, such as memorial services or cremation ceremonies. Today, it's very common to see mixed styles. For example, some families visit graves, others hold church services, and others hold simple gatherings at home. This shows that Jesa has become more flexible and personal, adapting to each family's beliefs and values. In digital age, Jesa has taken on completely new forms. During the COVID-19 pandemic, many families couldn't meet in person, so they began using online Jesa platforms. On these websites, people can upload pictures of their ancestors, write messages, and even light virtual incense sticks. Some companies have also created AI memorial halls where digital avatars of ancestors appear in virtual spaces. In addition, many families now use video calls to hold remote memorials with relatives living far away. This shows how technology helps continue traditions even when people are physically apart. If we look at Asian countries, we can see both similarities and differences. The first picture is from Japan, the second is from China, and the last one is from Korea. In Japan, people celebrate Obon, which is like a joyful homecoming festival for ancestors. In China, there's Qingming or Town Sweeping Day, when people visit their ancestors' graves to clean and make offsprings. Korea's Jesa, on the other hand, used to be the most formal and Confucian, held strictly at home with detailed rituals. But today, Korea is becoming more like Japan and China, focusing less on strict rules and more on emotional remembrance and family connection. So, what does Jesa mean to Koreans today? The meaning has shifted from duty to memory and from hierarchy to connection. Many people see Jesa not as an obligation, but as a time to reflect on their family history and express gratitude. Even a small act, like lighting a candle or sharing memories with siblings, can carry the same spirit. Jesa remains an opportunity to strengthen family bonds and to remind ourselves of where we come from. In other words, the form may change, but the feeling remains. The culture of Jesa in Korea has changed greatly, from traditional Confucian ceremonies to diverse modern and digital forms. These changes reflect the evolution of our society, modernization, gender equality, globalization, and technology. But through all these transformations, one thing stays the same: the desire to remember, to honor, and to stay connected with our ancestors. And how about the future of Jesa? As Korean society continues to change, the way we remember our ancestors will also evolve. One possibility is that Jesa will become even more digital and personalized. We already see online memorial platforms and AI-based tribute halls, but in the future, these technologies may become much more immersive, for example, through VR or AR, rituals that allow families to gather in shared virtual space. Another factor is Korea's rapidly aging population and rise of diverse family structures. Smaller families, single-person households, and multicultural homes will naturally create new forms of remembrance that blend different traditions and values. Rather than one fixed Confucian-style ritual, Jesa may transform into a flexible practice, something each family designs in a way that feels meaningful to them. In short, the future of Jesa will likely focus less on strict ceremony and more on memorial, personalization, and emotional connection. Don't forget, tradition is not to preserve the ashes, but to pass on the flame.